You always hear about the Ted Bundys of the world, or the Zodiac Killer. Guys who have more traditional methods as a serial killer. But what if someone went off script and did something a little more unique? Like taking your daily vice and turning it into your MO. Born in Vancouver in 1931, Gilbert Paul Jordan was not your typical person, nor did he have the typical upbringing of a serial killer. When you usually hear about a serial killer, you hear about someone who had a terrible childhood while getting neglected, harmed by their parents, even possibly harming animals. Jordan had more of an unconventional path, as you would say. By the age of 16, he was an alcoholic and had dropped out of high school. By the age of 21, he was convicted of theft, assault, car theft, and possession of drugs. Jordan had a very, very, very long criminal history throughout his life, and there was even an attempt to label him as a dangerous offender in 1974, which the request was denied with help from his attorney. In Canada, a dangerous offender is someone who is at risk of committing more violent crimes or sexual offenses. If someone is proved in court to be a dangerous offender, they would be in jail for life. From my small expertise that I have, aka a degree in criminal justice, I would probably label Jordan as a dangerous offender, because by 1974, he was convicted of over 10 different crimes, including child abduction. Jordan would drink himself to death daily. By this, I mean he would drink over 50 ounces of vodka every single day. This is equivalent to a little bit over 33 shots of vodka per day. He would drink so much that he was actually charged with drunk driving twice in the same day. You know you have a problem with drinking when you get caught the first time, but getting caught twice in the same day is just on another level. I was really just surprised he was able to drive again after the first time. What probably happened was he got caught in the morning, taken to jail, sobered up, and then got drunk again at night, and then caught again. As you know, Gilbert Paul Jordan was known as the boozing Barber. You may think this was because he was an alcoholic, but it was actually because he took his vice of drinking just a little bit too far and would use it as his murder weapon. He would find sex workers in bars and pay them to hang out with him and also drink with them. Once they would pass out from drinking so much, Jordan would pour more alcohol down their throats, causing them to pass of alcohol poisoning. He would apparently try to hang out with about 200 people a year like this, but this only resulted in about 10 deaths that we know of. He would do this because he didn't want to be alone and just needed somebody to hang out with him. Not many people really liked him, and he was lonely, probably because of his drinking problem. He was able to walk up to people and not intimidate them, but not in a charming way as Ted Bundy used to do. He was just your average looking male. Once he courted somebody and they agreed to be with him for the night, he would either take them to a hotel or to his barber shop. In one of his many previous jailings, he learned the trade of haircutting and started his own barbershop, which amassed him a wealthy lifestyle. Usually, overdose deaths from ethanol consumption is rare, will still happen. So when these girls started popping up with deaths from alcohol, the police didn't really think twice about what was going on. Mainly because in downtown Eastside, where he resided, there was a lot of overdose deaths. So it was just kind of normal. The legal limit to being able to drive is 0.08% BAC level, but Jordan's victims were found with BAC levels of over 0.44%. And this was the lowest amount found in his victims. The highest level I was able to find is about 0.79%, which is about twice the limit of the lethal dose to an average person. You know, I feel like he had a small bit of remorse after committing these crimes, because he was the one who would usually call in the possible death to police. He would anonymously call, and one time in the death of Jody Miller, police were actually able to trace the call back to him. They picked up Jordan and questioned him about what he and Jody were doing. He went on record by stating he picked her up, took her back to the hotel, and she started mixing pills and booze. Once he woke up, he found her there cold, which scared him, so he left and called the cops. Well, what he didn't know was Jody was not a chronic alcoholic, which was seen in the autopsy, and had never done any other type of drugs. This is when police finally started connecting Jordan to all the other girls who had died from ethanol overdose. Once the police started digging into these girls, they finally realized Jordan was the last one seen with each and every one of them. The Vancouver police then decided they would put surveillance on him for a little over a month. In this month, they witnessed Jordan take many different girls back to hotels to engage in his little act. While in the room next to them, the police heard him bribing the woman by saying, "Have a drink. Down the hatch, baby. $20 if you drink it right down. Let's see if you're a real woman. Finish that drink. And I'll give you 10, 20, $50. Whatever you want. Come on. I want to see you get it all down. Get it right down." They were able to save 4 different women from alcohol poisoning during this time. I don't really understand why they wouldn't try to charge him with something after saving the first woman, but apparently they just probably needed a little bit more evidence for some reason. When he finally did get arrested, he was arrested for first-degree murder. He only got convicted of manslaughter though, because the prosecutor was worried they would not be able to convict him. Which is a tough pill to swallow on this case, because, and you could tell during the surveillance, Jordan definitely knew what he was doing during the incidents, and this was no accident. He was sentenced to 15 years because they were only able to connect him to one victim, and that was Jody Miller. After the sentencing, Jordan decided to appeal and actually got his sentence down to 9 years. He was actually released after 6 years in prison on parole. 6 years for killing 10 women. The man was a repeat offender and was still somehow able to get his sentence down to 6 years. And on top of all of this, he violated his parole by being in a bar, drinking and bringing back women to hotels. The same exact thing he was doing before. In summary, we had an alcoholic who turned out to be a serial killer. This case was something different. It's the first time I've seen someone use alcohol as a murder weapon. You know, I feel like he did this because he couldn't stop his addiction, which in return hurt his relationships with people, and he wanted people to feel how he was feeling. On a scale of 1 to fucked up, this case was definitely fucked up. You know, just can't quite put my finger on it yet, but there seems to be something going on in downtown Eastside Vancouver. Oh, Canada.